Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we're going to dive into a super important, but kind of hidden network inside all of us. It's a huge part of our circulatory system, but honestly, most of us never even think about it. Let's jump right in. Okay, so let's kick things off with something you've probably felt before. You know, when you've been sitting on a long bus ride or maybe a train trip for hours on end, and when you finally stand up, your feet feel all puffy, and your shoes suddenly feel way too tight. Well, believe it or not, there's a really cool scientific reason for that. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. So that puffiness, that swelling, it actually has a name. It's called edema. Basically, it's just what happens when extra fluid gets stuck in your body's tissues. But where did that fluid even come from? And why isn't it draining away? That's the big question, right? That's the mystery we're about to solve. All right, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to zoom way, way in. We're talking about what's happening on a microscopic level, right there in the tiny spaces between all your cells. Okay, so our story, like pretty much every story about circulation, it all starts with the heart. It's our body's amazing engine, right? It's constantly pumping blood out through this huge network of arteries, and these arteries branch out, getting smaller and smaller. And when the blood gets to the absolute tiniest of these vessels, we're talking about the capillaries, something really cool happens. The walls of these capillaries are super, super thin. So thin, in fact, that some of the liquid part of the blood, along with all the good stuff like nutrients, it literally leaks out into the tissues around them. And no, that's not a bug. It's a feature. It's supposed to happen. This liquid that's leaked out, we call that tissue fluid. I want you to think of it like a personal delivery service for your cells. It's pretty much just blood plasma packed with oxygen and nutrients, and it just surrounds your cells, giving them everything they need to do their job. Okay, but wait a second, that brings up a pretty obvious question, right? If this fluid is always leaking out to feed our cells, why don't we just puff up like balloons and stay that way? There must be some kind of cleanup crew, some system to take care of all that extra fluid. Well, there is, and this is where the hero of our story comes in. Our body has this amazing, super smart cleanup system. It's a whole other network of vessels that works just like a drainage system. And once that tissue fluid gets collected by this special network, it gets a brand new name. It's now called lymph. And the network doing the collecting, that's the lymphatic system. So really, you can just think of lymph as recycled tissue fluid. The main job of the lymphatic system is actually pretty straightforward, but it's absolutely vital. Its whole purpose is to gather up all that extra fluid from your tissues and safely return it back to your bloodstream. It's like the body's traffic controller for fluids, preventing jams and making sure everything stays perfectly balanced. So, what's the real difference between blood and lymph? It's a key point. You know, blood is full of stuff, right? Red blood cells carrying oxygen, white blood cells fighting germs, and platelets for clotting. Lymph, though, it's mostly just that clear, plasma-like fluid. And the reason is simple. Things like red blood cells are just too big. They can't squeeze through those tiny capillary walls, so they have to stay behind in the main blood vessels. So you see, the lymphatic system is way more than just a simple drainage pipe. It's a total multitasker. It's keeping your fluid levels just right, it's delivering those last-mile nutrients, and it's taking out the trash from your cells. It's honestly the crucial middleman, that essential link between your blood and all your body's tissues. Okay, so here's a thought. The blood has the heart, a powerful pump, pushing it all around. But the lymphatic system, it doesn't have a pump. So how on earth does lymph move? Especially when it has to go up against gravity. The answer is you. You are the pump. Every time you move, when your skeletal muscles contract, they squeeze the lymph vessels that are running through them. That squeeze pushes the lymph forward. And to make sure it doesn't flow backward, these vessels have amazing little one-way valves. And right there, that's the big aha moment. This is exactly why sitting still for too long causes that swelling. The lymphatic system completely relies on you moving around. If you don't move, the fluid doesn't move. No movement means no drainage. Simple as that. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. We're going to boil all of this down into the absolute must-know points. You know, the stuff that's going to be super helpful when you're studying for your exams. All right, if you remember only one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. The single most important idea is that lymph is the vital bridge, the connection between your blood and your body's tissues. It's the go-between that delivers the goods and takes out the trash, a job that blood can't do all by itself. So to make sure you've really got this down, here's a little checklist of questions for you. Can you explain what tissue fluid is? What about lymph? And how's it different from blood? Can you explain why edema, that swelling, happens? What are the main functions of the lymphatic system? And last but not least, how does lymph get around without a pump? If you can answer all of those confidently, you've totally mastered this. Let's wrap up with this one powerful thought, which is just put so well here. It says the lymphatic system is the body's hidden transport network, the one that maintains the perfect balance between blood and cells. I love that. It really is the unsung hero of our entire circulatory system. Thanks so much for joining me today.